Okay, Bones, cut the music. Bones, wake up. By the way, Bones is my director, and sometimes he doesn't hear too good. Anyway, welcome to Midnight Paranormal Society that will be appearing here on Southern Fried Paranormal. Mike Cardenas will be here. I'm hoping I pronounced that last name correctly. Guess he'll punch me in the nose if I'm not. Uh, anyway, we will be talking with him in just a few minutes. I'd like to wish my best hopes and prayers for the people in the upper Midwest, the Wisconsin, upper Illinois, the Green Bay area. Dan Norville, who has appeared on this show at least twice, maybe three times. Last I heard, 11, 12 hours ago, he was without power and a transformer had blown in front of his house because of the ice storm. I saw on TV today where they had ice as a bottom, and they're piling about 15 inches or more snow on top of ice. Limited ice, of course, most people through this. Myself here in Arkansas about 3 weeks ago did not have a show that week because I had no power, couldn't do anything. We only had one cold night. That was Saturday night. It got down to the least. They're going to have three cold nights up in the upper Midwest. So I hope some prayers are with them that they all come out just fine. But it'll be a couple of days, so we're going to hear a whole lot of them because unless they fire up a generator and are willing to plug the computer into the generator instead of their cell phones or their refrigerators or an electric heater just to keep warm. So y'all please try to stay warm there in the upper Midwest. I do feel for you. Went through it. I went about 4.5 days without power here, so I can completely empathize with you. Okay, so like I said, tonight we're going to have Midnight Paranormal Society, and we're going to bring you out here in just a minute. That's about to say it was kind of serious. Usually I kid around, but with what's going on out, it's not a matter with an ice storm and then a big snowstorm right on top of it, along with cold temperatures. Fun at all. So we're just gonna go on, have a serious show, talk about some ghosts and ghosts and goblins. Hey, that sounds like right up my alley. All right, let's get this thing started. Bones, roll the intro.
Warning, the following video contains strong language which may be offensive to some viewers and or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Southern Fried Paranormal with Len Dorman featuring Bones. Catch us on Spotify, iHeart, iTunes, Spreaker, Facebook, Stream, and everywhere else you catch your podcasts. And of course, WLFE-DB.com. Now, from the backwoods of southeast Arkansas, right beside the Bayou Bartholomew, the longest bayou on the planet, broadcasting from downtown metropolitan Cane Creek Township, here is your host, Len Dorman.
Hey, guess what we're going to have tonight? Midnight Paranormal Society. Let's go ahead and take this. We don't need that. We don't need that at all. We need to take the poster down, which is that. There I am. Not so pretty face, but here I am. Anyway, we're going to have Mike Cardenas has in just a second. Let's say good evening to all our viewers live on Facebook and on YouTube. And of course, all of our recorded friends that are watching this around the world on all of the podcast networks for later review. So without hesitation, without any forethought, what's forethought? I don't know. Never had one. Anyway, Mike Cardenas.
Hey,
How are you, sir?
man, I'm good, man. I got some steps in before I came on the show, and then a skunk chased me, so I ran into my house.
A skunk. That can be a stinky situation.
Oh yeah, man. It was I thought it was a cat at first, and when it walked across the road, I see the white stripe down its back, and I was like, holy cow! And I smelled the stench of the skunk, and I for whatever reason I made the sound like Shh, get out of here, and it turned, looked at me, and just rushed me, and I ran past it to my house.
Wow, that's unusual to see a skunk charge at you like that.
Right. I took off, man. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna stop and wait and pay the consequences, you know?
Uh, you are probably too young to remember Looney Tunes.
Oh no, I know Looney Tunes, yeah, of course. Pepe Le Pew.
No, Pepe Le Pew.
There you
He
go,
was
man.
always chasing to the black cat under a pole and got wet paint on her back, and he was always chasing that cat.
Right.
But okay, let's get people that know you. Contact you, I'm sure, on Facebook. The link is running right there. But where exactly are you located?
I'm located right now in San Antonio, Texas.
I've never been to San Antonio, even though that's not that far away. Of course, it's House, Texas, which is a 4-day trip.
Right.
So, what year did you form Midnight Paranormal Society, and did you work with anybody in forming it, or is this just a sole effort, or how'd you do it?
So I guess to kind of give people a better understanding on why I founded MPS at the time when I did, when I was a child back in the late 80s, going to the 90s, where I was living at, my mom was a single parent, and someone brought the Ouija board into our home. And when they did, my mom was
Ooh,
not aware of it. I was too young to even know what it was. I was oblivious to what they were doing. It was a birthday party. They brought this thing in. The birthday boy, now since is deceased, when he, of course, this is when he was alive, as a teenager. He's playing this thing, and um, so I want to get more into that, but just for the fast forward through it, I had my first paranormal experience in this apartment, and of course, this is a time, when we would reach out to family members or anybody for that matter, neighbors, and people were like, "Man, you're crazy," you know. Accusing my mom of being on drugs, and she's like, "Look, I took a drug test. I have nothing to hide." We're really experiencing these things, and so, fast forward to 2008, I remember it was like going, I want to say maybe about April of 2008. My sister, who's my co-founder of my team, Jeanette, I told her, hey, I remember as kids, everywhere we moved, different neighborhoods, different places, my sister is very, very gifted. When we were children, I would hear her talking to things and the homes, the places we lived at, like, I don't want to go into the closet. I don't want to talk to you. Leave me alone. And I would hear her say these things, and I never ever questioned like, "Oh, you're crazy." I would ask her, what are you seeing? Like, what are you who are you talking to? And she would explain to me what she would see. And so fast forward, I said, "Listen, you've been gifted as a child, even to now as an adult. How can we use that and what we experience to help other people? What can we do to give them peace of mind? What can we have to what can we as individuals uh, do differently than anybody else is doing?" And so at that moment, she said, "Look, I'm not ready to do this. I'm still very young. I want to live my life." I said, "I understand you do that, but I want to start building now. I want to build now. And when you're ready to come back and you're ready to do this, I want to build this foundation for us, and then when you come back, we can build on top of that foundation. And so, when I started, I didn't know what I was going to name. I didn't have a name in mind. All I had was just the want to help people. I had that passion for the paranormal and wanting to better educate myself and have a better understanding for why some of these things happen. And so at that time, when I first had the idea to start a team, not like MPS, just a team, I said, well, do I want to do this solo? Do I want to be like a solo person doing this, or do I want to have a team? So, there's a lot to think about and to consider when being solo versus a team. When you're solo, you answer to nobody, but you're going into a lone wolf. You're by yourself. You can work with others, but you're just that lone person doing this. And so for me, I said, I come from a big immediate family. I'm the eldest of 7 siblings, 7 kids. I said, I want my
Oh
team
wow.
to reflect. I want my team to reflect my family. This is my second family. It's like you're home away from home. I want to have individuals, like-minded individuals. We may have different beliefs, we may look differently, come from different backgrounds, but together, we can be there for one another, have each other's back. And when things, whether they're good or bad in this journey, we can be there for one another, right? And learn along the way. And so when I, first thought about creating this team, my thought at that time was, I'm a big believer that education is key, right? And any field you go into, I don't care if you want to be, working with animals, or something in the ocean, or whatever your passion is. Education is always key, right? And so I said, well, besides reading books and going to the libraries and watching shows, I'm a hands-on kind of person. I love to learn hands-on, right? So imagine wanting to become a mechanic, and they say, well, here, read this book about becoming a mechanic. I want to touch the tools. I want to be at the car. I want to know how to remove these parts and that part and those parts. So I'm more of a hands-on learning kind of person. So I reached out to several different teams and individuals at the time. Since then, I don't know what happened to these people, but I reached out to several groups, and the sad thing was a lot of people shot me down. There was people who told me, well, you don't have a car to get around. I said, well, there's a bus. I have 2 legs. I can walk wherever I need to go. I mean, there's a bus. No, no, you don't have a car. The second thing was I didn't have any equipment, right? So they say you don't have no equipment. So what, you don't have no use to us. And then one guy told me I just wasn't good enough. And that blew my mind, man. He told me I wasn't good enough. And I asked him, why am I not good enough? Well, because you don't have no car, you don't have no tools, you don't have no experience. You're not good enough. You're not good enough for any of this. You don't have what it takes. And I'm just like, I was baffled, man. I was truly baffled. This guy knew nothing about me and said I wasn't good enough. So just like anybody else would, I dove in. I took the dive. I jumped in head first, and I said, you know what? I don't know how this is gonna work, but I'm gonna take it one step at a time, one day at a time, and I'm gonna just go with it, man. And so at that time, I started my search. Well, first of all, before I can create a team, I need a name. And so, as I was trying to figure out the name, one of my original founding members of MPS at the time, Justin, shout out to him wherever he's at, right? But we were sitting down one day, and he was like, "What do you want to name this?" And I said, "I don't know, man." And so we're sitting there, and we started like kind of throwing names together, and all of a sudden, Midnight Paranormal Society came together, and I was like, okay, that sounds pretty cool. Let's run with that. And so at the time, this is like 2008, man. I went down to the courthouse and I said, how do we even do this? Like, how do you do this? Like, how can I get this to where only we have this name? So I was very, I had no knowledge, man. I went to the courthouse and I said, I want to turn this not into a business. I'm not looking to make money for this, but I want to make sure that nobody else can use this name. And the lady at the courthouse, I had no idea what the hell I was talking about, and she made it to where it was like a profit thing, like an actual company, right? But the downside was that it was what's the word I'm looking for? It was basically to my county, not like nationwide. It was limited to my county, which is Barrett County, right? And I was like, look, listen, this is a start right now. I don't care about that. Let me, I'm just where I'm. This is my home base, Barrett County, San Antonio. So that's enough for me. Just knowing that I can operate within Barrett County, I'm good. And so once I did that, I said, okay, now let me start searching for other individuals who, whether it doesn't matter what the reason why they want to be in the field, whether it's to learn, to help people, to whatever. I want to find like-minded people, and let's just go with this, man. And that's how I got started in the beginning. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
You just kind of stopped there for a second.
No, I was talking, but I finished what I was saying, and so I was trying to see if maybe that lag.
Oh, okay.
It was
Okay.
sorry.
That's all right. I you were looking at some notes or something. You're going to say something else. So I was just letting you.
No. I just wanted
Keep talking
to,
if you want.
to catch my breath a little bit.
I understand. That's a lot. Sounds like a lot of journey, and I can sympathize. My group of one, if you call it that, I call it CRPS, which stands for Arkansas Paranormal Society. I never. I don't even have it registered anywhere. I don't care if somebody else uses the name or not. It's just a group of one. It's just to call it something. So, what did you do after that? You had it where it was set up for the county. It's set up as a for-profit to start with.
It was basically like if you're trying to start like a not like a sole proprietorship, where it's just like under your name. It was like you're making to a business where you can make money, but I wasn't sure how any of that worked at the time. You know what I mean? So even though I had the ability, technically as a company, as a business, I can make money from it, but I never ever collected one dime from anybody because that's not what I was in this for. You know what I mean? I've always done this because of my passion. I've always done this because wanting to just help somebody better understand, even though none of us truly 100% understand the way the paranormal truly works. I don't think we're ever gonna know until we cross that veil. We go to that other side. You know what I mean? But that's how it was in the beginning.
Well, you're doing it the right way because there are no experts in this field. Anybody who calls themselves an expert, they're definitely not one because
Right.
nobody knows everything. As far as ironclad proof, that's why I like the investigators. We investigate, we collect evidence, but it's not like we can prove anything. So I think your approach was spot on.
For sure, man. Thank you.
So that was the very beginning. Have you righted the ship now and got it as a not for profit corporation now,
Yeah,
statewide at least?
yeah. Now we did that, man, and we're recognized as that not for profit through the Secretary of State here, and of course Texas. But we went through all that. We had this the board of directors, all that stuff. What we have. It's like we kind of talked briefly about it in before the show started. But yeah, and I know the pains that you're talking about having all these different people on the board. You know what I mean? So I definitely understand, man.
So how many people have you got in your core group that if you go investigate, they're going to be with you?
Oh man, so I mean, total of my team, I have about 12 people. But
12?
the yeah, the core people who come out is obviously Jeanette. She's my co-founder, Jeanette. Very gifted, man. I love the fact that she's able to take her abilities that she has and apply it to helping others. And even the one thing I love about my sister the most, besides her being my sister, is that for those out there who are listening, if you're struggling with trying to understand your abilities or gifts, whatever you want to label them or call them or whatever you want to give the name of, when you're struggling, and because again, I can't speak on that because I don't ever consider myself that I'm gifted in that sense. But with her, she's always so open to working with others, help better understand their abilities, not to be afraid of them and to embrace them. And she works with people to better understand it and become stronger, in them. And so there's Jeanette, Matt, he's our tech manager. Ron, he's my lead investigator. Robert, he's one of my investigators, but he's more of like the before he came to the team, he was like a part of like he's all into the cryptid stuff like Bigfoot and Mothman and all that stuff. He loves that stuff. Um, we have Alma. We have a lot of amazing people, but also here's another thing too. I'm going to mention right now. So
Okay.
one thing that we started, we created something called the MPS family, right? And so one of the things that we do right now that we offer, and we're kind of doing it right now just here in Texas. Of course, one day maybe we can expand to other states. But one of the things that we're doing right now is that we are working with other teams locally, people who we know on a one-on-one in-person basis. And what we're doing is we work with these individuals, these teams, awesome, amazing teams, and they're part of our MPS family. And what we do is, as a community, as a family, we work together in person. It doesn't matter if it's a historical place, doesn't matter if it's residential. We come together, we build the trust for one another because it requires a lot of trust in what we do. Because if
Yes.
you have this vision, you have this idea of how you want things to be done, and then someone comes who just disregards that, and they try, oh well, no, it's gonna be done the way I want to do it. There's not one right way to do this, but you have to have some kind of like, this is, we're doing this. We may not understand it 100%, but we have to have some sort of guidelines or some kind of like, a structure, if you will, right? And one thing I'm very careful is having a client or having clients. I'm very careful whenever we go do an investigation and what we present to them, or not present to them, but what information we provide to them. As far as like, let's say I never go to a location and say, hey, there's a demon in your house, you're screwed, because you never know how they're going to take that information and run with it. So with these teams, our family members, we work with them. We say, look, this is MPS, this is how we roll, man, this is what we do. You're entitled to investigate how you want, but whenever we actually go to a case, we're asking to please just be very careful in what you provide to each client, to each person, because you never know how they're going to react. I knew somebody, I not to get off subject, but I knew somebody who they knew another group who went into a residential case, told the family there was demons in their house, and the family killed themselves. So, I mean, you have to be very, very, very careful in what you say because there's so much at stake. And so we're very careful. But anyways, back, we have Black Cauldron Paranormal, Channing and Jen out of Temple, Texas. They work with us all the time. We see them we try to see them as much as possible. We have Vera and Lisa, who are Vera is in Lockhart, Lisa's in Seguin. We have our other good friend Diana and her family, who they have their team and they're here in San Antonio. We all work together. They're a part of our family. And the one thing I love is that anybody who is, whether you're new to the field or you're seasoned, doesn't matter. If as long as you have your brain like a sponge and you're willing to absorb information and learn from others and work well together, or work well together, be a team player. We always welcome new groups to come join us because one of the things that I love is that having that mutual respect for one another. Saying, look, regardless of what we experience when we're out in the field, the one thing you can always count on is that we're going to be here for you. We'll be here together. And no matter how bad it is, no matter how severe, no matter if it's a, like I said, residential or historical place, we're here to learn. We're here to better ourselves before we can better other people who watch us. Because one of the things that I always see is that as from the enthusiast standpoint, they take what you say and they run with it a million miles an hour. So when they see these TV shows or they see other people on YouTube or shows like this, they grab any information they can grab and run away with it. And Dave, this person's at this, so we're very careful. And even at that, you could be as careful as you want, but people are going to take that information and use it however they want to. But we try to do our very best to do our due diligence for not just the field, but for each other and for the people who are watching. Because one thing that I love about what we do is education, bringing awareness of what we do, showing people that what you see on TV is only entertainment. I don't care how cool it is. I don't care how you can love it from here to the moon, but it's only entertainment. They don't show you everything that occurs step by step. And so when we go live on Facebook, when we do our podcast to share what our thoughts were going into the case and after the case, I love doing those things. For us, one of the things that we have, our viewership, our supporters, we call them the Midnight Watchers. So everybody who joins our community, they're called the Midnight Watchers because we're all about the experience and we're all about making things very an intimate moment. The thing that we think about is what do we want people who watch us, who tune in, whether it's on our live investigations, whether it's on a live podcast, what do we want them to walk away with at the end of that show or live investigation? What do we want them to take away? And so what they take away, they're going to share with others. It's like they become those walking like word of mouth people for you. They take what you're doing, man, they're either going to love it or they're going to hate it. And for those who love it, they're going to go spread it out like a wildfire. So sorry if I kind of went off the subject there, but I had to share.
What you're once again, you're doing it absolutely correctly. I've seen it done the wrong way. I've seen it done the right way. I've seen people get into the paranormal that didn't have the passion that you obviously have for it. They're in it for other reasons. They're in it trying to find an angle to make money. And it's surprising the number of people who are in the paranormal for the money. And there's almost no way to make money in the paranormal. People are not money so you can 100 miles away from you so they can contact you and put their name with you and send you money enough to get a salary. That's just not how it works.
Right.
So I think you're doing absolutely correctly. You've taught what people do something. And by the way, to that person who told you that you didn't have to offer a group, that you didn't have a car, you didn't have equipment, you had just nothing to offer. I think the most important tool in your toolbox when you walk into an investigation is an open mind.
Right. I agree.
And then the next most important thing, something to write on, legal pad or pen or pencil, preferably a backup of each one, and start writing down things you hear and time stamping.
Right. Yeah, no,
And those
I
are not
agree.
complicated things to buy.
No, I definitely
And
agree.
so,
And sorry about that. Go ahead.
I forgot what I was going to say.
No, sorry. There's a lag, man, and I don't want to interrupt you.
Right, I understand. Yeah, you're doing it the right way. So I commend you for that. And as far as these people you're working with, you're talking so well of, you're really blessed that you have somebody willing to go and investigate with you and investigating, like you're talking about. You are blessed having somebody, because I would dearly love to have somebody here to investigate with. As we were
Right.
talking, the Chicago area has a hard time finding people who are willing to do that. Everybody wants to be in the paranormal. When they find the History Channel or Sci-Fi with their own TV show in 6 months, they're gone.
Right, right.
Because there's so many people that their third investigation. That's okay. Where's the TV cameras?
Right.
Why am I not on TV yet? You have a passion. Follow that and keep on doing what you're doing, and you'll get to where you want to be.
Right. And one thing that I always think about, right? One thing I always think about as far as, what advice would I give to anybody who is wanting to explore the paranormal, who wants to come into the field and, get their feet wet, if you will, and kind of see what is this all about. The advice I will give them is wherever your mind is, like whatever avenue you want to explore. So let's say your goal is, I want to be, somebody who sheds light into historical places, right? But we want to share historical information and the paranormal, and then, or there's people who are like, hey, I want to help families. I want to do just strictly residential cases. Or then you have that person who's like, I want to be the next Zach Bagans. I want to be the next this show. I want to be the next that show. Whatever you want to do, that's your right. In this field, the beauty of it is that we all have the ability to come in and do whatever we want to. But the only thing I would say is this: the moment you say, I don't have to learn anymore, I don't need to learn anymore, I've already learned enough, at that point, and this is just my own respect, respect to everybody who's watching, but if you say, I don't have to learn anymore, I think it's best for you to hang up your hat and just move on. Something else you're willing to learn, because in this field, it is forever evolving and growing, and we're always learning something new. My goal, I would love to just one day have learn different breakthroughs, techniques, different things that can shed more light into what we're doing. Because I always wonder, what if one day, like let's say 10 years go by, 20 years, 30 years, and one day something happened that's so out of the box that flips the paranormal field upside down and says, you know what, the way we've been thinking is supposed to be done is it's 100% wrong. It's this way. I would be open to it, and I would be like, holy cow, why didn't I think about that? But the beauty of this field is that we all have a different. We can all come into this field with the different approaches, different techniques, different whatever you want. You do it how you want to, but just always be respectful to the living and to the deceased. You know what I mean? You always want to have that respect, and always when you go to a location, remember to always let whatever's there know what your intentions are. Because one thing I try to keep in mind is, you'll encounter some things that are so old, they don't know what the hell, who you are, why you're there, and sometimes they'll kind of back off, and so you have to say, look, my name is this, whatever, these are my intentions. I'm just here to communicate with you. I don't mean to bother you by any means, but I'm not sure if you just be respectful. Let these things know what your intention are, because I've been to locations where I've been there, and let's say it's a residential case, and let's say the thing that's haunting the place, it's a man who used to live there, and he was this grumpy old man, and I'm like, hey sir, hello sir, my name is Mike, I was called here because this family is experiencing things, we heard you talk, so there's no more hiding that you're here, but we want you to know that we're not here to disrespect the house. If this is once your home, it's a beautiful place, but there's a new family who lives here, and maybe it would be a better idea if maybe you can go into the light and go find that piece that maybe you're looking for. I don't know if you know how to go into the light, if you need assistance going into the light, or if you're even ready to leave, but understand that there's a new family here. They're going to take care of this home like it was yours at one time, but now it's a new family. They're going to respect this place. They'll make sure that everything is up, kept up with it. But you know what? Can you please, just move on? You know what I mean? Like, respectfully. So it's like you always have to have that respect, good intention, because the moment you go into a place and you're very disrespectful, you're out of pocket, you're saying nasty things, that is a no-no, in my opinion. I don't ever approach what I do in a negative manner, because there's always a consequence. There's always like something that can backfire, not just on you, but your team and the people you're trying to help. There's a lot at stake, so you got to be very careful.
exactly. I fully agree with what you're saying. Because I've seen so many people act nasty. One place I heard of, uh, uh, it was the music club where is in Kentucky, where several TV shows have gone.
Oh, is
That
it?
they have. Uh, can you remember the name of it?
Yeah, is it Bobby Mackey's?
Bobby Mackey's. Thank you. I could not think. I could not remember that name. Thank you. That's exactly right. It's exactly the place I'm talking about. They had strict rules against thing because the issue they were having, a group would come in, be nasty. So, well, I'm just going to leave if you don't show yourself, and would be taunting, calling them names, but nothing would happen with them, and they would end up
Right,
getting nothing. But then the next group comes behind them, and they get backlash, even though they
right,
weren't even there. So they are pretty strict because of several incidents that happened of perfectly innocent paranormal investigators going and getting attacked mentally or physically because of the group that came in before them. So
wow,
I fully agree with what you said. There's no need for taunting or any of this. If you go and say, look, I just want to talk, find out why you're here, is there you, and talk to them like we're talking to each other, and you get more results.
oh yeah,
I had one place down in northern Louisiana. I was talking to his wife. I did not. I knew where his wife was buried, and I was standing a grave trying to talk. She had never talked with anybody else because nobody investigates there.
right,
It's a national park, and she just she was a wife of a former owner, and the first thing he said to me was, and I had this recorded because the speaker was right there by the person to hear him. You're standing on my grave,
wow,
and I humbly apologized and moved immediately because it was an unmarked grave, so there was no way I could tell. The people who ran the place said she's definitely buried there. Hers was a marked grave. There was one beside her that was also marked. They said there may be 5 to 7 people buried there, but we only know of the 2 for sure. And just from that one statement, I found out, yes, indeed, her husband's buried right beside her.
okay,
And that, since I was not being nasty to his wife, he just came in, just made a firm statement. You're standing on my grave, without getting nasty about it. Had I
right,
been nasty to his wife, the Lord would have said to me. And that's the way I approach it. I would like to be treated respectfully, and that's how I like to treat them. And I believe that's what you're saying too.
right. Yeah, no, for sure, man.
So, in the San Antonio area, isn't there at least 2 or 3 good locations to investigate there?
Oh man, here in San Antonio, there's some really amazing locations, and I'll give you a few of them. So there's one in San Antonio.
Okay.
It's a public place. Anybody can go there. It's public location. It's called, they nicknamed it the Devil's Bridge, um, and the actual name is called I think it's called the Old Bergsmill Bridge, and it was like a dedication bridge to some servicemen and women. But I found this bridge when I first started, investigating, because it used to go by a name called Troll Bridge, and I mean, I guess just I don't know who the hell is nicknaming these bridges, man, but I just kind of go with it. You know what I mean? I'm like, whatever. But what kind of yeah, what kind of attracted me to the place was there was a video one time in YouTube long time ago, and this team was down there, and it wasn't like a real fancy video. It was just very lightly edited, and this woman was at the Devil's Bridge at the bridge, and she's sitting there in the middle of the bridge, and it's not a bridge that cars can drive over. It's you just like a walking bridge, and
Walking bridge.
she's there in the middle of the bridge, and she has the what is it called, the dowsing rods, and she's holding the dowsing rods, and for those who've never held dowsing rods, they're very lightweight. It's like you gotta be very careful because just with a slight hand, our hands move so much, but it can kind of manipulate the way they move. But anyways, they were apart from each other. All of a sudden they started like about to cross, and for some reason they touched the tips or something, and when they touched, sparks flew off of them, and she dropped them, and she backed off and she ran. She's like, nope, this is not for me, and she stopped. And so I saw that, I was like, wow, that's I mean, I don't know if that's a real thing. I don't know if it's like some kind of like a trick that she did. I don't know, but I was like, let me go check it out. And so ever since I went to visit this place, I've always collected some pretty great evidence. It's always a child that's there who talks to us, and I don't mean like using apps. I mean like actual raw audio and video. You can hear the voice of a child that talks to us. But there's Devil's Bridge. There's also another place called Donkey Lady Bridge, and this place it's like our own local, like I guess urban legend, if you will. Donkey Lady Bridge. It's a weird story. I guess there's different variations of the story, but one of the stories goes there was at the time there was like this land developer, or like he came into that area of land, and he wanted to start making like homes everywhere, and there's a small farm out of the middle of nowhere, and he sent his henchmen to the farm to try to buy him out, and the lady, her husband and children didn't want to sell their land. So what ended up happening was they refused, and one day the developer's little boy had went down to the ranch because there's other kids who would play there, and the little boy was playing with the kids, and supposedly this one of the animals there happened to be a donkey, right? It bit the boy in the hand, or it bit him somewhere in his body or somewhere, and the developer said, you know what, go burn that mother effer down, like the whole whatever. So the henchmen showed up. They started, burning things down, the stables and stuff. And the woman was the only one who survived. The animals died. Her kids died. Her husband died, and she got so burned. Supposedly, I mean, I don't know if this is true. I've never. I mean, I looked up records to see if maybe something's been documented. Of course, nothing has been documented. But what they say is that she became so burned that her hands, like they resembled almost like hooves, if you will, because the way they got burned and really badly, and her face just got really burned ugly. So she ended up eventually in time she got so sad that she killed herself or something. And so whenever you go, the legend is that you go to this place, and then you'll hear like the sound of like the horses when they're walking, not trouting, what is it called, when you hear that little clicking of the what is it called, their hooves or whatever. Yeah, when they're walking, the horses, you hear that, and then you'll hear like charging, like something charges you. And so, I've gone there many times, but over the years, people have discovered dead bodies there. People burn animals there. Like it's like almost like a dumping ground for bad stuff. And so, that's another place we've been to, and many of times we've actually captured some really good EVPs and captured some really cool pictures. So there's that one. Another place that I myself have, MPS, my team, we were the first to investigate a location here in town called Buckhorn Saloon and Museum. This place, man, what I love about this place is that it has the location is at right now is not the original location, But this place had, it's like a huge, when you walk in, the original founder of this business, this establishment, what he would do was, at the time, if you couldn't afford to buy your food or drink when you came to his establishment, he would do like bartering. He would accept, taxidermy stuff, like, animal hides and skins and antlers and horns. And so when you look up this place, there's horns and there's, like, I mean, all kinds of animal type things all over the building, inside the building. And so they have like different museums in one. So like they'll have Texas Ranger exhibit, they have wildlife, oddities, like all these different things, and it's huge, massive place. And so, when we investigated that place, man, we actually there was a woman who came out with us, because at the time it was just me, Jeanette, our original case manager, and then this lady from another team. We invited her to come out with us. And this woman who we invited out, she says, Mike, I can see things, spirits and stuff. And I said, okay. And, one of the things that I always hear from people, right? When people find out I'm a paranormal investigator, I don't care who it is. They're like, oh, I can see ghosts. I can see this. I can communicate with this. Like, just everyone in the woodwork comes to me. I can see this. And I never down anybody. I never say, oh, no, it's not true. I say, okay, that's cool. And so in this instant, the woman was like, she says, Mike, there's a little girl following us. I said, oh, really? And so when she tells me this, I didn't really pay too much mind to it. Normally, I'm like, well, how does she look? Is she tall, short, skinny, chubby? Is she white, black, Native American? Like, I usually ask all these questions, but I was so focused on the actual tour that they were giving us. And so at that time, this is before spirit boxes or ghost boxes became more mainstream, like they were, mass produced. Everybody was making what they were called, like this radio hack shack. Like, everybody who had a Radio Shack would buy this specific radio, and they would modify it and, create their own version of a ghost box. And so she tells me, Mike, come upstairs. There's this girl up here. She's right here, and she's gonna talk to you. I promise you. And I had never even used, a ghost box before. She has it on, and I'm listening. And it's she and my sister are there, and they're like, come on, you can talk. She's right here. And my sister can see her. This woman can see her, but I couldn't see nothing. And I'm like, I'm just listening. I'm curious to know if there's really a girl there. And they're like, she's right here. Come on, you can talk. Don't worry. Don't be afraid. And one of the ladies says, are you afraid of men? And I stopped and I listened to her ask her that question. Like, are you afraid of men? Is that why you're not talking? All of a sudden, man, the spirit box had been quiet the whole time. No radio voices, no nothing. And then we hear a little girl say, leave. I mean, like really loud through the spirit box. A little girl just says, leave, super loud. And I backed up. I'm like, listen.
Wow.
I said, thank you for talking. Thank you for speaking up. I'm gonna remove myself from this where we're at right now. I'm gonna go downstairs. I'm gonna distance myself. But if you can please continue talking to the ladies, please. And so I removed myself. I left. And one of the things that occurred before that moment, without us knowing, we were in the lower level of the building, the first floor. Where this happened was the second floor. Without knowing, this is before I have all the cameras, all the stuff I have now. I have so much stuff now, but before I had this stuff, I had just a regular, simple, handy camcorder. Took the little mini DVDs, and I had on a tripod recording. And without knowing, we were walking in this, it's called the aquatic area. They have all this like taxidermy stuff, like all like huge fish and sharks that are all, on the wall, and we're walking by there. And there's a point where one of the ladies, she, what did I say? We're walking and she almost crashes into one of the benches. I said, be careful, be careful. And on camera, you hear the same girl's voice giggling in the background. And of course we don't react to it because we don't hear it at that moment. And I said, if there's really a little girl here, can you come talk to us? And all of a sudden, on the background of the audio of the camera, you hear a little girl say, I want to play. I mean, clear as day, man.
Really?
I mean, we didn't hear it then, but during the playback, the point of what I'm saying is that it was so cool to know that this little girl who we heard in the ghost box at the time, the voice we heard was the same voice that actually got recorded on the raw audio of the camera and recorders. You know what I mean?
That would be an impressive find right there.
Oh yeah.
Where have you posted this evidence so far? Do you post it
our
on Facebook, or do you have a website?
Yeah, we have on our Facebook page. If you go
And
search, go ahead.
That's the correct address below, correct?
Let me see.
Or is there another
I
one?
think what you provided there, that's my personal page, my personal my profile. We have
Okay.
our actual Midnight Paranormal Society page that we have. So if you were to pull it up, the way you saw the artwork in the video, that same logo, just type in Midnight Paranormal Society, and you'll see that same logo on the page, and you can go there. And we have tons of videos, pictures. But actually, what I want to share with you, actually, Len, if you don't mind, let me find the video real fast. I want to share something with you, man. I don't know if I have. I don't know if I have it here. What's that?
You know how to do that? You know how to do that, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you right now. One second.
On StreamYard. Okay.
Hold on real quick. I'm gonna tell you right now. One second. Hold on. Let me find the video real quick. So I'm gonna show you something. Okay.
Okay.
So for those who are watching, people ask me, what is the worst possible case that you've ever taken on? And I'm looking for the video really quickly, so I can share with you. Back in 2021, we were contacted by a former client of ours. Here's the thing for people who don't know, whenever we get clients, if they choose to stay a part of our lives, they become a part of our family. Like, we have that we build always great rapport with people, but we always, keep those strong bonds with our clients. It's not like, we just say, oh, we investigate today. Now goodbye. No, we always keep them a part of our lives in some way. And so one of our clients reached out to me and said, hey, Mike, my mother-in-law wants to talk to you. And of course, I know, since it had to do with paranormal, I knew it was paranormal. I said, oh yeah, sure, let's talk. She called me and told me that she was once dating this man who they have a child together. This child was in college. Well, the woman I was speaking with goes on to tell me that this gentleman in question, he had murdered his new person, the new woman he was with. He murdered her. And so this is a Monday night they were talking. And I want to say this was 6th, 7th, 8th, the 9th. This is December the 9th, 2021. The murder took place December the 6th, which I believe is like a Friday. And so she goes on to tell me that he murdered this woman, and after he murders her, he takes her body and he dumps it in one of the outskirts cities of San Antonio. There's like, little towns. And he threw her body. Then he comes back home, calls the cops and says, listen, I just killed this woman. Come and get me. And they came. He barricaded himself in the house, and it was a 14-hour standoff. What ended up happening, they kind of concluded the whole thing. He slit his own throat. He slit his throat, and then he started stabbing himself. And the cops said, enough is enough. They broke the door down and they took him out. And he went to jail and got convicted. But for those who have never, been contacted by, for a severe case like this one, one thing that I would tell you, anytime you are contacted for a case, no matter if it's this bad or not, never allow your pride to interfere with the helping of the individual, right? So don't say, if it's out of your hands, if it's too much for you to take on, don't say, I'm opposed to reaching out for help from other teams, other more seasoned people who maybe are able to take over it. Don't ever allow a client to suffer because you're incapable of saying, I know when to let go. I know when to ask for help. Because the worst thing you can do to somebody is allow them to suffer and go through something. And because of your pride, because you're like, you know what, I'll handle it, but you truly cannot handle it. And you just gonna make matters worse. So, you have to be very mindful and understanding, empathetic, sympathetic. And if you need help, don't ever be afraid to look for help or guidance, and even myself, I've been in many cases where I've needed help, not because we can't handle it, but sometimes it requires a fresh perspective, another set of eyes,
Right.
to maybe they're on the outside of the box looking in, and so maybe there's something they can shed light in a way that maybe it will help have a breakthrough in the case. So I mean, I've done it before, and I'll never be ashamed or afraid to be like, hey, you know what, listen, I need help. But I'm trying to find the video, and I want to show you guys this. And of course, this video, when I show it to you guys, please, viewers, discretion is advised. Watch at your own discretion. I do not recommend any children watching the video I'm about to share. But again, I'm all about awareness and education. And one of the things about awareness is sometimes you see things you really don't want to see. But I'm just showing you because, I want you guys to be able to see what we took on. Let me try to find this video real fast. I mean, we can keep talking, but once I find the video, I will share it with you.
Okay. I have one question for you. Well, actually, a couple of them.
Shoot.
How long have you been in the paranormal?
Since 2008, officially.
2008. Okay.
How about yourself?
About the same time, although I did it amateurishly as a child. My first paranormal experience, I was just a kid. It turned out that I could see things like the first thing I saw was Native American spirits, because I was born and raised in Georgia. And, and there was actually a very close, in fact, right beside my hometown, and within 100 yards of where I lived at one point before I left Georgia, was an Indian village.
Oh wow!
And that always attracted me because I saw those as a kid, and of course there was no equipment available back then.
Right.
And I was trying to do some, seeing what I could see and seeing what I could hear before Ghostbusters came out. And then when I Ghostbusters, I said, well, I could actually say that what I'm doing now.
Right.
And then I moved to Chicago in 2001.
Oh, here we go.
And I could find a job. My wife just finally said, "You got to get out of the house and make some friends." So I found some paranormal people, and rest is history.
Wow. Okay, I think I found.
Just go ahead and load it up, and you can start it, or I can start it. Hold
on, let me. I think these are.
I love this feature that. Okay.
I'm sorry. I mean,
StreamYard started. Yes.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say that StreamYard, what StreamYard has added on, this present button, where you can load up videos very quickly, and then we can talk about it, and then we can show it, and you don't have to send them to me via email or any other format. You can just load them up yourself, and then we can play them. I think it's a very good feature from StreamYard They're fairly recent.
Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and show you. Okay.
Okay.
Let me see if it'll allow me, because for some reason my let me go back up. Hold on. Hold on real quick. Let me find a good point to show you guys. All right.
Okay. Oh, it. Are you ready? You find it?
I found it, but for some reason it's just pictures. So let me I'm gonna minimize this, and I'm gonna show you guys. Hold on.
Okay.
All right. Let me. Okay. Let me share my screen. All right. When you're ready.
Okay. You ready?
I'm ready. Okay, you ready? Here we go. Okay, let me show you right here. So, for those who are watching, when we walked into the house, when they invited us to the house, this is Monday night. They said, "Can you come right now?" The police already came. They took the pictures they needed. They took whatever else they needed, and it's up to us now to decide what we're gonna do with the house. What you're seeing right here is the gentleman in question. We don't know if he stabbed himself or stabbed the woman or whatever he did to her, but there was blood like this everywhere. This is like coagulated blood, but everywhere. And let me show you. So if you can see here, this is the door we came in right here. You can see where he was fighting this woman. I mean, he ended up beating her to death, but you can see the struggle where he was like dragging her all over this. Here's the hallway of the place. Here's one of the bedrooms. You can see all the blood just everywhere, man. I mean, look at this. He destroyed this woman. I mean, can you see it?
I am not. I know I'm not seeing any of this. I see a screen.
Hold on. Let me try this again. Hold on,
But,
real quick. Hold on. Let me try this again. 1 second.
Okay. Okay, we got it. Well, yeah.
Here you go. You ready? Do it again.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Share my screen on your end, or give it
Okay.
permission to share. Okay, now. Okay, look. Can you see this now?
I see. Looks like a screen of with a whole bunch of photos on it. I see your cursor move.
Okay, look. This is one of the photos right here. You see all the coagulated blood?
Okay, there you go. That I can see that. Yes.
Okay, look. This is where the man was. He beat this woman to death, and you can see where they were struggling on the sofa. This is the room where he was dragging her around. This is the bed where he beat her. I can't even. I've never witnessed anything in my life like this, man. Look at this. The blood that the weapons he was using, he was drinking obviously, but I mean there was blood everywhere. This is the like dining area. All the blood here. You can see where he was dragging her, and like he barricaded the door. I mean, he slammed her here
Wow.
on this left side of this wall. On the other side, in the actual living room, there's like a big old blood. Oh, there, here it is. Look, you can see the blood spot where he slammed her against the wall. That's me right there taking pictures. Oh, that's my cat. Never mind. But for some reason I can't find the videos. But that was one of the most intense cases that we ever taken on. And the reason why I'm sharing this And why we were caught out was because the gentleman who did the murdering, he had claimed that before all this went down, he had seen, or he was asleep one night, and he woke up because he heard somebody walking in his house. So he went to try to like see what this was. When he looked into the hallway to see who was there, he saw this silhouette of a man, or someone standing there in the hallway. And he was like, and he said, "Who the f are you?" And went after the person, and the person he saw ran into one of the rooms there. And so he chased after the person, turned the light on, and there was nobody there. This happened every single night in different parts of the house. He would see this thing. And so eventually he went from being this real calm, whatever kind of person, to this very like on edge, angry, very just, angry all the time. And then I guess he snapped for whatever reason. He killed this woman. So they called us because they asked, can you come find out if this woman crossed over? Is she gone? Because the last thing we want to do is clean this house up and sell it, and then the next people have to deal with this. So we showed up, and those pictures, I have actual video of it. I just, for some reason, it's not coming up. I have actual video of it where I'm walking around in the house. I'm wearing a mask. I have bags on my feet so I won't get blood on my shoes, even though it's dried up. I don't want to, make that contact and take that with me. And
Right.
the heaviness, man, it was so heavy in this house. It almost felt like if you were suffocating, that you just couldn't breathe. And I remember
Wow.
staying there. I remember staying there in that dining area where you saw like before leading to the living room. I'm staying there, and I said, "Ma'am, if you're here, ma'am," I said, "I'm so sorry that nobody was here to defend you. Nobody was here to help you. I sympathize for you." I said, "But just know that you did not make it. I'm so, so sorry." I said, "But one thing that I couldn't help you in life, I'm here to help you in death. I want to help you, cross into the light, and that way you can go find peace on the other side." And I was like, "But before I can do that, before I can help you, can you please let me know if you're here or not?" And as I finished saying that, me and this person who was with me, we heard a woman call out to us from the hallway. I was blown away, man. Like, I mean, I got chills, I got like goosebumps, to hear a woman say something. We went towards the sound, and it started coming from the attic. I didn't want to go in there, man. I didn't want to peek my head in there and see something crazy, so I didn't, go up there. But it was such the downside to this case is that um, we didn't get to finish the case, because when this happened, the guy who was locked up, who got arrested and got convicted, his brother took over the house. And so he said that no more investigating, no more anything, because it was up to him what he wanted to do. So respectfully, we can't force him to allow us there.
Right.
So we never got to do a cleansing. We never got to do anything besides document some stuff. And I actually still have the original keys to that house. They changed, of course, all the locks and stuff. We
Wow.
haven't gone there since, but it's unfortunate because, I mean, I don't know if she's still there. I don't know if she moved on. I wish that they would have given us more time in the place.
Yeah, that's in a way that's kind of a sad story. One, what she went through, and two, the fact that you could not really close the case. And by
Right,
closing the case, I mean find some resolution.
right.
Wow. I'm not going to ask you details of the investigation because it's kind of private, and I think private investigations should be. You can talk about them, but names and places. Let's just forego that and keep that information private.
Yep.
But that was, I'll have to say, and I think this is not quite the words. That was an interesting case. Anyway, even if it didn't quite get solved,
Right, right.
maybe someday you can go back in there. Maybe they'll give you a call and you can go in and finish up the case because that is a rather sad
I would love to do that for this lady. And the crazy part was this. There was many a times. There was like one time, I think maybe like a month passed after that, and I was at my local mall here in town, and I was leaving the mall, and I had my mask on, right? And as I'm walking to my car to get into my car, out of nowhere, this strong aroma of what I smelled in that house hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, boom, like if someone came and just blew a fan on me, and all I could smell that smell rotting, just blood. I mean, it was like, I mean, it hit me as fast as it came. It was gone. I don't know if that was a sign or maybe who knows what that was, but it hit me for a second and then it was gone. But if there's ever a new family or individuals that move into that house, I hope that God could reconnect us with these individuals that come full circle. That way we can finish, like you said, what we did, what we started. I would love to go and try to find answers for the woman who passed away and help her find peace.
Right, of course. That's actually part of investigators to close cases like that and find an ending. And
Right.
I wish you luck in the future doing that.
Thank you.
Now, while we got a little bit of break here, we're 12 minutes past into the second hour. Let me run a few things. I kind of you gotta advertise a little bit. And what I do, I put up things that are happening. If you got any comment, if you're going to be at any of these events, please speak up. Spirits in the Spring, 2023. This is an event put up by, obviously, Expedition Entity, Paraflix Paranormal, and Shadow Hunters. More information of where this event will be. Dan Norville, the gentleman there in the center, he's the one that has transformer blow up in front of his house about 12, 14 hours ago. So he's still without lighting. So, heart reaches out to him because he is a good friend. And next one is Broadhead Manor, again, Expedition Entity. They've got a show, and I mean it's on a pay for view, as you can see down at the bottom, available on Amazon Fire TV and Apple TV and Roku, where they will be doing some rather difficult cases. And one place they're going to do is Broadhead Manor. And here's where they're saying of Paracon September 15th to 16th, 2023, where they will be live in person, and you can actually meet and talk with them. Dan Norville is a very interesting man. He's very knowledgeable in the paranormal. So, of course, that's up there around the Great Lakes, the Paranormal Conference up there. And here's some more about it. Spirits in the Spring event, and some of the other people that's going to be there. And there is okay. Here's the date of the Spirits in the Spring, April 22nd, 10 a.m. at the location. This particular location. If you want to contact them, look up Spirits in the Spring, Broadhead Manor, and you will get information of how you can get there from wherever you are. And there you are. And what's this one? Okay, this is a new event. This will be fall, September 22nd through the 24th. This is again up north, the Great Lakes Paranormal Conference. to be held in late September. So if you're in the Great Lakes area, be sure and look into that event. Now, event that I will be again this fall in October, be in New Orleans. This may be something you might could slip into because it's a little bit further than I am. I'm only 6 hours from New Orleans from where I am. But this one's also the FearFest Paracon in New Orleans. At the location will be the chairwoman of this event is into the show. She's on the show before, and she is the for Fest Paragon 20. She will be announcing exact location of the Paracon. It'd be sometime in October. I am planning on being there. The wife doesn't ghost hunt with me, doesn't do investigations, but she will be traveling. So I don't know if you can make it to this particular event or not. If you do, love to see you there because I think that will be a lot of fun. Phoenix is an interesting person. She's a lot of fun by herself. She also does Mystic Soul Holistic Fairs that she will be appearing at in Oklahoma, Texas, where she's from. She's from your part of the country, just further out from the cities. And she also does one in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And if that she does that, I'll also try to get to Hot Springs to meet up with her there. And that event is held in a haunted hotel in Hot Springs. There's also a statue of Al Capone there. Her and I will be investigating that statue. It said if we can contact Al Capone. For my 14 and a half years living in Chicago, Al Capone does not like me at all. Mainly because I completed a case and got a friend of his that used to make bombs for Al Capone. He was keeping about 25 spirits hostage at a location that he could not really move from. We're talking about a murderer here with double digit murders under his belt.
Wow.
And it took to us to convince him that he was forgiven and to leave that place and release the spirits. We got him to release the spirits. He is still drifting around on our side, but he's a lot happier spirit now. And Al Capone did not like any of this going on whatsoever. So if Phoenix and I did manage to contact him in Hot Springs, which you wonder why it was Al Capone in Hot Springs, because of the hot springs, the medicinal springs in Hot Springs, Arkansas, he came down there rather frequently. So we're talking about a place that Al Capone did visit several times in life. And they do have a statue to him there inside a restaurant. We're planning on getting permission from the restaurant to investigate around that statue and see what Al Capone has to say. So that's some of the advertising in the future. If you hear of the Gypsy Soul Holistic Fair in Texas, Oklahoma, or Hot Springs, Arkansas, be sure and go there. Tickets right now, they have not really got their act together as to where and when or for exact dates. And has not given that information to me. I will release that information as soon as they hand it to me and put it out there and tell everybody where they can get tickets. All right, let's get back to our guest, Mike. You've kind of said, some of the things you've done, and I like the way you do things. You do it the right way. And you said you actually post evidence, and you and I discussed this very difficult question. You actually post it for people to see. And I kind of like the way you do it because I do the thing. I post the evidence up for people to see and let people make their own judgments. I'm not saying there's a ghost right here. Can't you see it?
Right.
And I was at most, I'll say maybe a ghost here. I think maybe I saw something here. What do you see? And I don't see a thing. And I've
Right.
had other people say, well, there it is right there. Uh, I've had that happen in real life with the wife saw something, pointed to it, pointed right to where it was, because I could see it was a partial apparition. I could see the partial apparition. She could see it. Her two daughters could see it. The husband might as well have been blind as a bat. He could not see it and never did. But with his wife and kids seeing it, he kind of strangely and put his hands like this on his head.
Right.
It started running in circles. If you can imagine how hard it is to keep on running, it's not a normal motion with your hands like this. He kind of bent his head over like he was pretending to be a bull and running
Right.
around in a circle. And finally he ran out of the cemetery we were in, and his wife and kids finally, his kids were frozen in place. Saw that he was running the cemetery and down the path, and started chasing him afterwards.
Hmm.
So I've seen some crazy stuff, absolutely crazy stuff. But back to what you've done. Uh, you were naming some of the places, and I'll be honest with you, those bridges you were talking about, I find them extremely fascinating. Is this just public territory? Anybody can go here and investigate? Is it on private property? Do you have to get
No,
permission? How does that work?
it's public location. The Devil's Bridge. It's a walking bridge that anybody at any time can walk onto. The cops are never to leave because it's a public place where, I mean, as long as you're not causing any disturbances, you're fine. You could be there at 1 in the morning, and they're not gonna tell you nothing. You can just be there, mind your own business, and if they come to you, they're like, what are you doing? I'm investigating. Okay, good luck, and they leave. But that, I mean, they're both
So
you
you
can
day or night?
day and night. You anytime. I don't care if it's 3 in the morning. You just show up, and they'll never bother you. Nobody ever bothers you. But
Wow.
of course, the Buckhorn, of course, that's an establishment. Of course, you have to call and of course get permission to be there. Within the the allotted time they give you.
Right. Right. But having a paranormal location that you don't have to pay money to, and you can actually
Mhm.
investigate tonight. At night? Do you know how rare that is to have found something like that, and how precious something like that is?
Well, I'll tell you this. Here in San Antonio, I can't speak for other cities and places, but we've been very fortunate that there's only maybe a handful of places, maybe less, that you have to pay. Everything is pretty much, you ask. The worst I could tell you is no, and the best, of course, that yeah, come investigate. But the place we go to, no one ever asks us for money unless it's like one of those known places that's established that hey, we charge X amount of dollars, X amount of people can come out, and you can investigate from this time to this time. Those places we go every so often. But I mean, if they say, hey, come out, come investigate, man, no charge to you, then we will go and check it out.
Okay, that is really cool. Uh, how many people do you have that you actually go on ghost hunts with, be it private or public? How many people do you have? Three, four, five? There
Let's see.
locally.
I mean, my team alone, I mean, there'll be maybe, let's see, me, Jeanette, Matt, Ronnie, Robert, maybe about six of us. They go for my team. About six of us will go, who are automatically or just immediately available. They'll go. So six of us, and then of course those of the MPS family who they're free to go. They'll just show up and come out with us.
Okay. And if you can pass this on for me, if groups that are in your family would like to come on the show, they do, I would welcome all they contact me on my Facebook, send me a message on Messenger. Glad to have them on the show.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I'm sure they'll all love to. I know that the immediate ones who I'm sure would love to come on is Channing and Jen from Black Cauldron Paranormal. They're a part of our NPS family. One of the things that I like to offer to anybody who's either a part of our NPS family or not, we're always trying to help. I'm the person who's always wanting to help get people started in podcasting and just doing live videos. And so our the podcast, I guess our platform that we have, which is Whispers from the Unknown Network, we got Channing and Jen started with their own podcast. They create their own name. They have their own guests on. I'll come on with them. Something I don't have to come on, and I have my own segment, and so I'm always trying to get people to be more involved in podcasting because like I tell people, we all have a story to tell, and there's always somebody who's willing to listen. And so, actually tomorrow, um, both Channing and Jen, they're gonna have a segment where they're gonna have two gentlemen on the show. And let me pull up the information really quickly because I want to share with you that show real quick. It's gonna be
Okay. Okay.
Jose and Jesus Alvarado. There's these two gentlemen, not here locally in San Antonio, but in one of the towns. It's called Corpus Christi, Texas, near the beach. They both
Yeah.
work or help
Right.
in a place called the USS Lexington. It's a big old naval ship, and you can go investigate. And so they help a part of those tours and investigations. So they're coming to the podcast to talk all things paranormal and the what they do and how they help in the tours and investigations. So that's gonna be pretty cool tomorrow.
Wait a minute. That's an aircraft carrier, isn't it?
Hmm. Yeah, they actually have
The
uh,
Lexington?
USS Lexington in Corpus Christi, Texas.
Right.
And they actually have, when we were there, shout out to Mr. Bill Miller, who runs the main part of the tours and stuff. He took us to the top deck area, and some of the jet stuff they have there, they actually used, and I believe I'm not mistaken, in the new what is it called, the new Top Gun movie. They had some of them there.
Wow. That's it. That would be impressive. And of course, investigating a aircraft carrier like that, you couldn't cover if you had worked there for 6 hours with five people, you cover a tenth of that ship.
Oh man, that place is so massive, man. It's when I went there, we went there last year, my team and and I got to meet one of the brothers who's coming on the show tomorrow. I met one of them. I forget which one it was, but I met one of them. I met Mr. Bill Miller and some of the other associates that they have who kind of do the tours and investigations. We had went down several levels of the ship, and Mr. Bill Miller goes, "Hey, you see this part here? If you go down the ladder, this and this happened down there. You want to go check it out?" I was like, "No, I'm gonna stay right here." And I'm staying there, and they take off down into this pits of whatever this thing. I call it the pits of hell. It's like they go down to this hole and they go down, and I'm just waiting there, and like 5 minutes go by, 10 minutes go by, 20 minutes. I'm like, where the hell did they go? And I'm waiting, and in my mind, I'm like, they forgot about me. I start panicking, man, and I like haul ass. I haul ass to the ladder that takes me back to the top, and I climb up so fast I get winded. I get winded really. I got winded,
Yes.
and I'm like this, and there's no one around, and I'm like, which way did I come from? And I'm like panicking super hard, man. And I run down this hallway. I get to this ladder, and I look up, and it's where we came through. And I tried climbing it, but I was so winded, so hyperventilating so hard that I couldn't even climb the ladder. I'm like, yo, I'm about to collapse right here and no one's gonna know that I'm right here. I'm gonna freaking die right here. And I forced myself to climb up. When I got to the top, I was so gassed out that I stopped. I was panicking, and I caught my breath again, and I went to our command center area, man. And I sat there, I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm gonna sit here for the rest of the investigation, and just sit here in the AC. It was so, we granted we went when it was kind of warm, so the ship was really warm, but I was like, man, I need to come back in the wintertime when it's a little more cooler.
The sailors went through working on a ship like that because the Lady Lex, like all the major carriers, had about 4,000 people on board.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh yeah.
the energy that the metal absorbs and has into the metal, it's got to be this, and that's probably what was affecting you. You were probably feeling pressure from all the energy that 4,000 people living on there for so many years, it kind of
Right.
instilled upon the metal of the ship. That steel, because there's what 60, 70,000 tons of steel
Oh
in a ship
man.
like that.
Yes. Can you hear me?
I had no idea that you add on an aircraft carrier. That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that is. So like I said, they're going to come on the show tomorrow, and they're going to be sharing insight to the Lexington and all that good stuff.
Very good. Can you do me a favor?
Sure.
Tomorrow night, can you send me just on the Facebook Messenger? Just
Mm-hmm.
send me where that's going to be held. Where I can watch it. Is it on YouTube or Facebook or both?
It's on Facebook. If people want to check it out, they can go to Whispers from the Unknown Network, and you'll see our podcast there, and it'll be live there. I'll send you the link so you can check it out, and anybody's free to watch it.
Cool. About the podcast, things like that, like StreamYard and several other streaming purposes, you're not just out there finally editing the video and throwing it up for people to see. You can actually go out like we're doing right now and just new places. Like I didn't know I knew the Lexington was around Corpus Christi, but I did not know they had it open up for investigation because I hadn't talked to anybody who had been there.
Oh yeah, you can definitely you can call down there, and they will get you in touch with somebody, and you can definitely investigate the Lexington for sure.
Wow, that just got put on my bucket list. So I really told me about that.
But what I would tell people who want to go check it out, don't expect to go with this security camera system, man, because this place is massive. If you're gonna go there, take handheld items with you, handheld camcorders, because and lots of batteries and recharge, extra batteries for the camcorders, because you're walking through this place and it's massive, man, massive. And you're gonna want to take a backup battery just in case things drain. But I would definitely suggest going and experiencing this place. It is beautiful, especially when you get to go to that upper deck at night and feel that breeze from the ocean. Oh my God, it's the best.
Wow, Corpus Christi, the Lady Lex. Okay,
Yes,
got
the
to
blue
remember
boat.
that, and I will do what I can. I will try to look up that show tomorrow night, and I'd
Oh
advise
yeah.
anybody who wants to look into the paranormal to hit that show up and learn a few things about the Lady Lex.
Most definitely.
I don't know if you picked up about the pet names sailors give their ships. Somebody called her the Lady Lex or the Fighting Lady Lex.
Actually, look, let me show you guys, or let me show you real fast. if you don't mind, I'm gonna share
Okay.
my screen
Okay.
so I can show you a picture that I
Don't
took
mind at all.
off the highway when I went to investigate recently. Let me show you guys. See, so for those who don't know, have never seen it,
Okay.
they can see how it looks. So go ahead and share my screen. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, do it again, please. Okay, here we go. You ready? Here it
Here.
is.
Yes.
This is the Lexington right here. And
There it is.
so when you arrive, you can kind of barely see it, but this is like the entry point right here. You come up here, they'll come down, they'll pick you up, and you have to walk, or they'll have like a little bus takes you up here, and you can barely see. But here's one of the buses right here. It's like a white bus, and then this is where check-ins at. You come in here. If you're there to buy a ticket to check it out, you buy your ticket. They even have an escape room there. They allowed us to try. Amazing. We got to go up here in this room right here. I think it's right here. This little corner room up here, and we get to see the whole ocean. Here's the planes I mentioned that were on Top Gun. Or not? Is it called Top Gun? Right? They had some up here, but man, this place is massive. Let me show you. I tried taking it at night. My camera was just for some reason it kept being real blurry, but it's called the Blue Ghost. And here's a picture. This is me. This is Rob, my investigator. Ronnie, my lead investigator. We are right by the beach, and as you can see the boat there. But this place, man, it's massive, man. It's beautiful though. That's the place.
History of this great country we live in, because we are the most powerful scene, and the only country that right now has more than about 2 carriers out there. We have 11.
Right.
And we're building a whole new line of carriers at 13 billion each, the Gerald R. Ford class. And we can actually afford 11 super carriers out there, and that's over 4,000 people. And what do you get when you multiply 4,000 by 11? I believe that's what, 44,000 people.
Right.
We have on board carriers, and it doesn't count the 7, 8, 9 ships that form the carrier groups: the destroyers, the cruisers, the submarines, to protect. It's part of living in this country that few people take advantage of, to learn that much about.
Right.
Oh, and speaking of the military, since we're talking about that, just an opinion from me, we are right now one good machine gun burst from World War III. We are just before fighting in Ukraine, fighting China for Taiwan. And my thinking is that we cannot let Ukraine fall by us just pulling our support out, because China will look at that and say the United States is a paper tiger, and they invade Taiwan. And while we're looking at that, North Korea is going to cross the 38th parallel and invade South Korea. And if they all did that, we overnight we could be fighting a war on 3 fronts.
Damn.
So, my full support goes to the U.S. military in that situation. We live in dangerous times, my friend. And,
right.
Our country needs us to support the military and support our country. Throw politics out the window: Republican, Democrat, Independent, populist, whatever everybody calls themselves. We need to support our country, and we need to support the people that we pay to protect us.
Right.
Because
right.
it's a tense situation. And Lady Lex is part of our past where the United States is respected and where we protect freedom around the world. And we need to continue doing that. Just a personal opinion. So
Right.
I thank you for bringing up the fact that Lady Lex. I did not know they were doing that down there, and I've written that down as part of my bucket list to go. Uh, there are quite a few places around San Antonio. There was a little place called the Alamo in that area. Have you ever been there, investigated there at all?
You know what, man? What for as far as Alamo goes, I mean, I mean, it's here in our backyard. I mean, I pass by it every so often, but because of the level where it's at, and now for those who don't know, they're actually expanding the Alamo to the original size that it was. You know, where they you know, where the walls initially were at. So
They are.
huh?
They are. I did not know that.
Yeah, when you go downtown, they have everything blocked off there because they're expanding the walls. Like they're gonna pretty much take it back to the original, like kind of like around the perimeter of the place. And but that place, man, if you want to get in there, you have to have big connections. Like you have to have major connections because if you just walk up there, hey, my name is Mike, by they don't even talk to you. It's almost impossible to get in unless
Wow.
you're like, hey man, my grandpa's the you know, the president or something. You know what I mean? Like if you don't have that kind of connection, you're not gonna get in there.
Wow. But it is interesting in your yard. Of course, they still offer tours there, correct? But just not at
Yeah,
night.
you can go for tours, but not at night. Not at night. No, you can just walk up and snap pictures, but not at night. You can just walk into they have the all the guards there who watch the place.
Any other fascinating places in that area?
Yeah, you know, if anyone's ever visiting San Antonio, another place that I would definitely suggest checking out, I think it's worth the mention. It's right around the corner from the Alamo. Remember, this is all in the same vicinity. There's like, you know, it's there's so many amazing places, but um, if you're facing the Alamo, it'll be kind of like the left side of it, kind of in the back. There's a place called the Firefighter Museum. I've been there before, and that place is really active. And you can walk in there, you know, and take pictures of all the things there. But there's a lot of activity there. And then actually, I mean, we've investigated, man, so many places. Near the Alamo, there was a place called Ripley's Haunted Adventure. We were the first team to investigate it, and we were the last team to investigate it. Also, let's see, there's Pat O'Brien's bar, which is right in this, like, across the street from it, from the Alamo, and that place is extremely active with children. Children's spirits are in that place. It's amazing, man. Like back in the day when I
Yeah.
first investigated it, I had a camera set up in one of the rooms, and for those who don't know, when you walk into the second floor of this bar, it's like the upstairs is meant for parties, like wedding things, you know, like just, you know, and they're all open big rooms up there. And I had a camera rolling, and I said, okay, I'm gonna go outside for a second, take a little quick breather. I'll be right back. And as I'm walking away, I had left the view of the camera. You can hear a child shout out, and it echoes, "He's gone!" Like if it was not letting the other spirits know that I had taken off. It was the coolest thing ever, man.
Why are the children spirits there?
That's a good question. You know, I know that when I did research, it was like a general store at one time. There was a residence there, but no one knows the origin of why they always are experiencing children. But
Mhm.
one thing I will say is this: there was a time where there was a wedding thing going on, like a party. You know, like the you know, after the actual main part of the wedding's done, and like the reception, you know, reception thing. Uh,
Right.
the bride and groom had this huge cake in the kitchen area, and they said at the right time we want you to bring it out. When they called for the cake, the workers of the bar went into the kitchen, and when they went in there, man, to their surprise, there was small handprints. Imagine like all these children went to the cake, started slapping the cake, and then slapping handprints all over the walls. And they were the couple was pissed off because they were like, wait a second, like who allowed children into this bar and to access our cake, and there was like small handprints all over the walls everywhere, man, and the cake was like destroyed, man. It was crazy.
Wow. Because if you could have a camera on there, or there was no children around, but yet you found these handprints, that's evidence.
Right, yeah.
Because as you said, the couple was angry. People there are not going to do that because that's bound to make them extremely angry.
Right,
They're talking about refunds at this point. That could
right,
be
right.
an expensive way to fake evidence.
Oh man, yeah.
If you wanted to fake it, that's a very expensive way to do it. So that it doesn't sound like with any common sense would fake that. So that would be amazing evidence.
For sure. Yeah, no, it's and like I said, and actually that location, the Pat O'Brien's, that was the one and only time where I made the mistake. Because normally when we investigate, we say a prayer as a team, a prayer circle, and we prepare ourselves accordingly for the investigation. Well,
Right.
at the time, everything was rushed. Everyone was in a bad mood. We investigated without praying. We just kind of like rushed everything. It was like a recipe for disaster, and that was a first and only time something followed us home or followed me home, and it was a child. And when I said, hey, you need to leave,
Wow.
you can't be here, it took off. But I feel it was one of the children from the bar.
Wow. That's interesting. Because I always try to do that too, even when I go by myself, is try to do the before and after, because some and several times followed home. So I'm like you, I try to do that also. Try to cleanse yourself a little bit and just tell the spirits, do not follow me home.
Right, right.
Well, what else do you want to discuss? We got some time. I don't know what time you have to get up in the morning.
I have to get up pretty early. Actually, I got to be up by 5 in the morning. But like I said, if there's anybody, yeah, if there's anybody who, whether it's a story you want to share or if you have questions about the paranormal, if there's something you want to just learn, we always welcome for anybody to contact us. Whether if you want to just tune into the podcast, if you want to reach out to us directly, you can email us. Our email address is paranormalmps@gmail.com. I mean, you can hit us up on any of our social media platforms, and whether you want us to review your evidence, you want to share your story with us for us to be the voice to share your story. We'll keep everything confidential. We have a gentleman, a good friend of ours, who he will email us stories that he has, and he's like, Mike, if you don't mind, can you share them on your show when you have a chance? And so every so often he'll email, and I'll read the email out loud for others to see if they can make that connection with him. So it's pretty cool. We're all about providing a platform where it's judge free. You come as you are. We're not here to change you as an individual. You just come, have a good time, kind of forget about all the worries in the world, and just have an outlet where you can come just be yourself.
Okay, that sounds really cool. Now, if you ever heard any of your shows, just ask me. Cancels on you or something, and I'm free on whatever or Friday night one show. What night you run?
We actually have shows for the most part, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays when we normally have our shows.
Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Okay. If you ever needed a guest, just give me a holler. Uh,
Yeah,
I
definitely, man.
I
I
did
would love to have you on the show.
some invest. You ever heard of Bachelor's Grove Cemetery? You
Oh
ever
yes, 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 yes.
heard
That's
of
where
Bachelor's Grove Cemetery?
isn't that where the famous picture of the woman sitting on the bench, right?
Right. That remember I mentioned hour and a half ago.
Yes.
Dale Kazmarek.
Yep.
Uh, he and Judy Huff was a member of his group at that time, and Dale's group, Ghost Research Society, has a co-copyright with her on that photo.
Oh,
Theoretically,
wow.
anybody showing that photo has got to clear it with them first.
Right.
Like he's a tough guy. He long ago set up Ghost Research Society as a not-for-profit corporation, and he in photos like that, of course, he copyrighted immediately. There's people that show that photo, and it has been released to Google and other little places, but that picture is not in the public domain. It's just out there, and Dale's not going to sit there and try to sue people over showing a photo. But
Right. Right.
if somebody makes it with it, he will ask questions.
Right. Right.
Dale's a little bit older than I am. He was paranormal investigating when I was still in high school, and I'm 66 years old.
Interesting.
So that's how much experience he's got. Of course, coming
Right.
from Chicago, we are all students of Richard Crowe, and you look him up. But I'm the person who found out who the white lady was. Dale didn't.
Wow.
2 years of research, I found out who it was.
Interesting. That was a really
I'll
cool
show you
picture.
right here. Uh, see this lady here?
Yeah.
If you compared it with the picture on the stone, the hairstyle's the same. The profile case, although this is a straight on shot, and the lady on the stone's dress, she's kind of translucent. You can see it was one large polka dots on it, like this dress.
Interesting.
She appeared on that stone in her wedding dress, but it is this lady, and her name is Amelia Patrick Humphrey.
Wow.
The
So
reason
she's the one from the
the
photo.
reason she came to Bachelor's Grove is here. This is why she appeared in Bachelor's Grove. Her firstborn child died 11 months and 4 days old in 1865 and is still buried in Bachelor's Grove Cemetery.
Wow.
What you just saw was years of investigative work.
Wow. That's amazing.
So anytime you want to invite me, I'll be glad to talk with everybody about it, because that's a whole interesting story on its own.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. That's really cool, man. I'm glad that you were able to discover that.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. It's a lot of fun. Of course, if you enjoy what you do, you don't work a day in your life.
Amen
And
to
I
that, man.
enjoyed what
I
I was
agree.
doing with that research. And it's not work. Of course, you will enjoy. I did not know how I enjoy retirement, being an old fart going around. But I am actually happy I made it this far. Part of my life where life is worth living, where I can retire. My wife has got a disability, so she is also, and our house is paid for, cars paid for. We can go out and do a few things together. I would say be sure and save some money off to the side uh, before you retire. You can actually live after you retire, and that goes for everybody. So,
Sounds good, man.
being an old fart sometimes fun.
Yeah,
All right, we'll
no,
let you go. And
okay.
so you can get on up at 5 o'clock in the morning. 5 o'clock in the morning, I'll be sound asleep, warm in my bed.
All right, man. Well, thank you
Because the
for having me
temperature is going
on.
to drop here. I in the mid 70s here today. Tonight it drops down, not freezing, but it does drop down to the 40s, maybe through the very high 30s. The coldest night we have for our whole temperatures is plummeting now. So we'll go ahead and let you go. Have you got anything else you would like to say in closing?
Um, for just again for anybody who wants to venture into the paranormal field, try to think about what is you want to accomplish, what are some of your goals, and don't be afraid to look for help. Even if you like myself, where people said I wasn't good enough, there are really good people out there, and so just because some people may not, they may try to discourage you, keep your head up, keep pushing forward, and you're bound to find good people who will take you under their wing and work with you. And just know that it doesn't always require having the most flashy devices to be a part of the field. Just a passion, a notebook, a pen and paper. I mean, you know, I started off with a broken MP3 player that I found on the road. I picked it up. It had a recording capability, and I caught some of the best EVPs with that thing. So it's not all about the flashy devices, and that is not the point of this. The focus should always be about the research and what you want to accomplish while you're in this field. And if you ever need advice, man, come to Len, come to me. There's people out here who will never shut you down. There is no The only wrong question is the one you don't ask. So please always know that there's people like ourselves who are willing to help you and educate you any way we can. And remember, you may know something we don't. And so please always be vocal about what you learn, because you never know how it's going to help somebody else.
Very good, Mike. I'm really happy you were on the show tonight. I've actually learned a few things. I think we're starting to develop kind of a little friendship here, and
Yeah, man, for sure.
I'd love to hear from you in the future. And we're brothers in the paranormal, and this is not the last time we're going to talk.
Oh no, not at all, man. We have.
So I look forward
There's only
to.
a small bit of what I shared, man. There's so much more stories and so much more things I want to talk about. So this is just the beginning.
You can come back again, and we can talk about some of the stuff you did. Lady Lex was some great information there, and talking about the bridges was just fabulous. As I really appreciate you coming on the show tonight. We'll do this again.
For sure, man. We'll do it.
All right, let me let you go. Get a good night's sleep. Like I said, you got to be up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And let me get on out of here. I've had a long day myself. I had 2 doctor's appointments today, so
Right.
I am. I got up at 4 o'clock this morning, so I'm a bit tired myself.
Right.
So we'll bid adieu now. But like I said, we will see each other again. And you
All
take
right,
care
man.
of yourself.
You have a good night, man. Bye bye.
You too. Good night. And that's our show tonight. Thank you for being here. Next week, we will have Michelle Jennings, Michelle Michelle Jennings next week. So we'll have a guest for next week. And I will be, maybe doing some more work in the paranormal this coming week. We got some busy around the house, got things to do. Gail, my wife, she's doing okay. She's still, her working days are over, as mine are, because of various issues, back issues, hip issues, in my case, knee replacements. So we got our hands full just living down here, and we're happy to have any listeners. I wish you would do. God bless. And just remember one thing: the paranormal never sleeps. All right. We'll see you next week with the show Shenanigans. And Bones, get up here. It's time for the outro. Good night, everybody. See you next week.
Thanks for watching our show. Be sure to tune in to next week as once again we journey way down south into Bayou Country for another heaping portion of Southern Fried Paranormal with Len Dorman and Bones. Make sure to like, share, and follow. Y'all come back now. You hear?